Hello everyone, thanks for coming. Today I would like to give some keynote for week 3's lectures. So first, there are some differences between using futures contracts and forward contracts to hedge. If we don't take into account the daily settlement, then basically they are the same. But if we take into account daily settlement, then things are different. For instance, if we are doing long hedge, which means that we enter into the long position, if the price increases, then using futures to hedge will be better off, because owing to daily settlement, we can withdraw balance the profits in our account in advance. If we are doing short hedge, which means that we are entering into the short position, if the price increases, then using forward contracts will be better, because we don't need to provide additional funds. If the price increases, then when we use the futures contract, the balance may drop below the maintenance margin and we may be asked to provide additional funds. The minimum variance hedge ratio and the optimal number of contracts are two different concepts. H star, which is the minimum variance hedge ratio, is defined by the correlation rule times sigma s over sigma A, where sigma s is the variance of the spot price and sigma f is the variance of the futures price. N is the optimal number of contracts. It's different from H star and it is defined as H star times QA over QF. QA is the total number of underlying assets we wish to hedge, and QF is the number of the underlying asset in each contract of the futures contracts. So there are two different concepts. The basis is defined as the spot price minus the futures price, so it can be non-zero, and we wish to distinguish the effect of the basis if we are doing long hedge or short hedge. If we are doing long hedge, which means that we wish to purchase something in the future and we enter into the long position in the futures contract market right now, then the higher the basis, the more will be paid, which is worse for us because we will basically be asked to pay more to buy the asset on spot, which is higher than the futures price. If we are doing a short hedge, which means that we are entering into the short position in the futures contract market, then the higher the basis, the more will be gained because we are selling the underlying asset in the future. So if the basis is higher, then we will receive more money. So next, there are some important things we need to pay attention to when it comes to cross-hedging. Cross-hedging involves two different assets, like the exercise we talk about in class. One is new fuel and one is a traditional gasoline. So basically for one asset, it's hard for us to find the corresponding futures contract, so we have to use another standardized version, standardized goods which has a futures contract to hedge. Next, the optimal contract number or the minimum variance hedge ratio is irrelevant of the spot price or the futures price, because hedging is to hedge against the change in the price. So the optimal contract number or the minimum variance ratio is only dependent on the correlation, the variance in the spot price change or the variance in the futures price change. It has nothing to do with the spot price or the futures price, future contract price. So finally, we get into the chapter on interest rate this week. There are different types of interest rates, like the LIBOR, like the risk-free rates. For the first two rates, we will be often using them in futures lectures. We also have the repo, we also have the treasury rates, we have many different rates. So rates are different if measured differently. What does it mean to measure differently. It is different compounding frequency. We have continuous compounding, monthly compounding, semi-annually compounding, and annually compounding. And two most important concepts are continuously compounding versus annually compounding. So we wish to know the conversion of the two different compounding frequencies. That's all for this week's discussion. Thanks for coming.